Since the fall of man, a war has raged between good and evil. Over the centuries, this war has distorted the truth. Now the truth is perceived as lies, and lies acknowledged as truth. To this day, the battle continues as we investigate and debate the truth behind the history and mystery of the universe. We are Paratruth Radio.
Echidna was a monster, half woman, half snake, known as the mother of monsters. Mythology says it lived in a cave and was married to Typhon, the most feared monster of Greek mythology. Now Paratruth presents Echidna, the mother of monsters.
Hey, Parafans, welcome to another episode of Paratruth Radio. My name's Justin.
And I'm Eric.
And tonight, as you guys heard in the beginning, we are talking about Echidna, who is the mother of monsters in Greek mythology. She was married to Typhon, who is known as the most fearsome monster in Greek mythology. Definitely going to be an interesting topic here. But first and foremost, Eric, how is it going for you, sir?
It is going just fine and dandy. I've got about a day left here before heading back down to Virginia, so trying to get everything packed up and ready to go. How's your week been?
Oh, it's going. I honestly wish this was a full-time job.
Yeah.
It's something I love doing compared to something I just need to do as a job. So, but yeah, and just looking forward to the show every week is a blessing, really, because it's probably the best part of my week. So, Echidna, what all did you find on her as far as, did you find a lot of mythology on her? Or?
There's actually not a lot of mythology on this particular creature. Unfortunately, it's much like some of the other myths that we've done where, you look for as much research as possible and you come across numerous sites and they all have the same small amount of description as the last. And unfortunately, it's the same thing with this particular creature. And surprisingly, it's some of her so-called children that have really picked up all the fame throughout Greek mythology. So unfortunately, for us, there's not too much to say on her. Yes. On the other hand, fortunately, there are a lot of spin-offs here, considering the children that she had. So we have plenty to talk about today. One of the most important things that I think, that you had just mentioned in particular, was that she was a half human and half snake. And we also heard that in the intro at the beginning of the show. The Echidna is very, very similar to another creature of Greek mythology that I think everyone really knows very well. And it's known as a little something or someone called a Medusa. Mm-hmm. And now the Echidna has been seen as, typical half human, half snake. It's usually an upper torso and head of a person, and then the lower body of a snake. And then also there's been reports as to this Echidna having snakes for hair, which is very similar to Medusa. And
one thing I came across too was that actually it all depends on who was talking about her. Just like a lot of mythology and folklore, some even say that one half was a human female body, the other half was actually the head of a snake.
Okay.
And it was kind of like a give and take which part was in control, sort of. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of interesting to see how each person wrote differently about her.
Right, absolutely. And And as I was saying, she's very similar to Medusa, but believe it or not, even though the Echidna had numerous children, such as Cerberus, for example, which is probably one of the most interesting of the creatures that she gave birth to.
Yeah.
Medusa actually has absolutely no relation whatsoever to the Echidna or her husband Typhon, which is one of the most feared monsters of Greek mythology.
Well, and it depends on the person. Of course, I'm getting a lot of my information from a different place than you are, but supposedly she was the mother of Medusa, but not of the other Gorgons. But in Hesiod's, he says there are the three Gorgons, the daughters of Phorcys and Ceto, which included Medusa. So I don't know if somebody just kind of saw Gorgon and assumed Medusa, or if it was supposed to be a Gorgon, completely different creature than the three sisters.
Well, that's very interesting because, as you had said, there are numerous stories in which we could follow, and some say one thing while others say the other, and that's one thing that we see common in mythology in particular. It's depending on who's writing it and who's sharing the story, it can change, such as the half human, half snake thing. As you had mentioned, half human is the bottom part of the body, and then the snake is the head, where I saw it as the upper torso of a human and the bottom half of a snake.
And I think that's the most common of what she looks like.
Right. And according to my research and what I found, it's been said that she did have snakes or hair, just like Medusa, which is also a trait that she passed down to some of her children, as you had mentioned, the Gorgon. But that most people would recognize Medusa as the most famous of Gorgons, yet she was actually never related to the Echidna in any way.
Right.
So that's, it's really interesting on how these myths are represented throughout history and throughout, I guess, from person to person, I should say, because every story is different. And now whether or not that means that this is a telephone type thing where one person hears one thing, the other person hears another, or this is just simply one belief compared to another, that's up in the air. Again, this is mythology. There's nothing really saying that there is any truth behind these particular creatures. These are something that were made up, something that is fictional. And so, who knows? I mean, it could be anything, and we could be wrong too. There could be creatures at one point who looked just like these so-called myths, and that's where these myths came from. Because as we know, all myths, all legends, they do have some sort of truth in them somewhere.
Yeah, and I mean, there's numerous things that look at a lot of the mutations and things that we see today, where people end up with half of their face covered in tumors, and it looks odd to us, but back then they were considered monsters. And that could be where a lot of the legends come from.
Right, absolutely.
And one thing that this is, again, one of the things, depending on who was doing the writing of the lore, Typhon supposedly had 100 heads. And in one legend, according to, I can't remember the author, but one of the authors had said Echidna as well also had 100 heads. And regardless of who had the 100 heads, such as a lot of the offspring, like Cerberus had multiple heads, Hydra had multiple heads. It's kind of interesting to see that the lineage went on in their offspring as well. And for those of you that don't know some of these legends, like Cerberus in Greek mythology was the guardian to the gates to the underworld. It was a 3-headed dog. Eric and I actually did a show on hellhounds in Night Stalkers, and at some point in our S-Files, you guys will probably hear that episode, but Cerberus was brought up because he was in Greek mythology, and he is by far the most ultimate hellhound because not only did he have 3 heads, but he was also rather large. And the Hydra as well is a multi-headed dragon, I guess you could call it, because that's what a lot of people link it to. And whenever you cut off one of the heads, it had 2 that grew in its place. And Hercules was actually the one that killed the Hydra. Another child of Echidna and Typhon that Hercules killed was also the Nemean lion, which was just this huge lion that was killing people on a road, I believe, or in a cave. I can't remember which. But another one supposedly is the Sphinx, which I don't know how that got linked to Greek mythology because that's Egyptian mythology as far as we know anyways. That also too was linked to Echidna and Typhon.
Mm-hmm. And then of course we also have the Orthros, which is one that I learned about a while ago, and that's similar to Cerberus, only it has 2 heads and lived with giants as opposed to guarding the entrance of Hades, as well as Ladin, which is the python. This one's very interesting actually, because it's considered the snake that guarded the golden apples in the garden of Hesperides.
Hesperides, yeah. I just saw that too, and I'm like, God, that's eerily familiar.
It is eerily familiar, right? For those of you who don't know, which you should,
if you're any of our Christian listeners, anyways, most people that aren't Christian or do not follow the Christian faith usually know the Garden of Eden story.
Right. So we all know the Garden of Eden story and how Satan appeared as a serpent and tricked Adam and Eve into eating of the fruit of good and evil. And I mean, obviously in this story with Ladin, it's called, or it says that the snake guards the golden apples. And of course, no one really knows what the fruit was that Adam and Eve ate. And there's a lot of speculation as to, I think the most common obviously is the apple. I think it's just something that we can relate to because apples grow on trees nowadays. But some say that it was a pomegranate. Some say it was a fruit that doesn't even exist anymore and has, that we have no link to whatsoever anymore. So what exactly that fruit is, it honestly, there's no reason to really know. It's not important, but you can see the obvious similarities here in the fact that there was a snake and that there was this fruit and that there was this garden with the story of Ladin. Another one was the Chimera.
Yep.
Which is something that I think you and I have talked about this a couple of times over the past couple of years, actually, here and there. And of course, the Chimera it's represented in a number of different ways. In this particular case, in regards to, I was going to say Egyptian because you just said Egyptian, but in regard to Greek mythology, the Chimera is part lion, part goat, part snake, and of course, a little joke, it's all monster, obviously. But chimeras have been depicted as a number of different things, and even I think there was one episode in which we were talking about the chupacabra.
Oh,
and the possibility that it in itself is a chimera as well.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's aliens that have been called chimeras. We know of the Greys, we know of the reptilians, and there is a so-called race, if you will, known as the chimera, which is just I don't know exactly what the chimera is considered in regards to the alien.
No, I've never heard of it. Yeah.
But, it's another type of creature that here in Greek mythology was a child of Echidna and Typhon.
Yeah, and like I had said before we had gotten on air, is the Chimera is actually, to me anyways, it brings up the first beast of Revelations, even though it doesn't have as many heads as the first beast of Revelations, but it's kind of similar where it's got the goat's head, the lion's head, the snake heads for the tail and that sort of thing. It's kind of interesting to see that has a similarity to Bible scripture as well. All right, folks, we are coming up to our first break here. You are listening to Paratruth Radio. We're going to hear Eric's random fact of the day, and we will be right back.
Now, Eric's random fact of the day.
You've heard of glow sticks. You've heard of glow-in-the-dark jellyfish. But now, scientists have created glow-in-the-dark cats. According to FactSlides.com and ScientificAmerican.com, scientists have created glow-in-the-dark cats by inserting the jellyfish protein that codes for bioluminescence into their genome. Scientists believe that by inserting the protein, it will help them to better understand a human genetic disease.
This was Eric's random fact of the day.
All right, folks, welcome back to Paratruth Radio. My name is Justin.
And I'm Eric.
And we've been talking about Echidna, and more specifically the offspring of Echidna, because there is not really a whole lot of mythology behind Echidna, other than she was a half-woman, half-snake creature who was married to Typhon, who was the most fearsome of the Greek monsters. And one thing that I had forgot about that I had come across is that she feasted on human flesh. And I don't know if you came across it at all, but she was immortal, but supposedly she was actually killed by Argus Panoptes, the 100-eyed giant who served Hera. And Hera was the queen of the gods in Greek mythology. So it was, I guess if you were immortal in Greek mythology, you could only be killed by another immortal. I'm not sure. But yeah, she was supposedly killed by a giant, but she actually feasted on human flesh, and any passersby by her cave that she was born in would suffer being eaten by Echidna.
I wonder if her human side had any problem with that.
Well, depending on which myth you go by, her human half was the only part that could eat. But if you go by the snake side and if she had a snake head and a human head, I don't know.
Well, one thing that is kind of interesting that I came across was a little further into the history of the Echidna and where she presided. And according to some mythology, it says that she presided over the corruption, rotting, and pestilence of the lower dregs of the earth, and that most myths have her residing in Tartarus, who is both a storm pit of the underworld and, interestingly, father of Typhon.
And it's weird to see that it was kind of a common thing in Greek mythology, because like there was Hades, which was the underworld, but there was also god of the underworld, which was Hades. So.
Right. It's kind of interesting how all of these Greek mythologies, they don't really go hand in hand, really. You know, they're so contradicting to each other. It's almost weird.
Yeah.
And as you had mentioned, the whole Hades thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just really.
And
can it come up with another name?
Like a lot of our planets are named after Roman mythology, which was actually an offshoot of Greek mythology.
So figure.
Yeah. So some of the other ones that she was supposedly the mother of was and this is kind of weird, the Caucasian eagle, which actually ate the liver of Prometheus every day.
Every day?
Yeah. Or it was also known as the Prometheus eagle. For those of you that don't know who Prometheus is, he actually, in Greek mythology, was the one that gave fire to humans to have them start doing their own forging. He was the forger of the Greek gods. So, also Echidna was mother to the Crommyonian sow, which was killed by Theseus, and also the Colchian dragon that guarded the Golden Fleece. And supposedly, depending on, again, the mythology you go by, supposedly she was the mother of the Harpies, but according to this, in Hesiod, the Harpies were the daughters of Thamus and Electra. So I'm not sure if that's even true, that supposedly Echidna and Typhon fathered and mothered them or not. But one other one that I came across, and I don't know if you saw this at all, but supposedly she was the mother of an unnamed venom-spitting huge sun with snaky feet, and was an ally of Kronos in his war against Zeus. And Kronos was Zeus's father. And that, whatever that thing was called, was killed by Ares, which is the god of war in Greek mythology. So, one thing that we actually came across, which Eric came across, what Echidna was in the first place. Why don't you tell them what Echidna was that you came across first before Greek mythology?
So, yeah. All right. So I decided to do some research on this Echidna. And, of course, earlier, I couldn't remember exactly what the show was on. I do that a lot. I just forget. And so I was like, I text Justin. I was like, what's the topic again tonight? And he tells me it's the Echidna. I'm like, okay. So I look up the Echidna, and the only thing that I get is a picture of a little animal, and it's a couple of words that say, the spiky anteater.
Yeah.
And all I think to myself is, why are we doing a show on a spiky anteater? I don't think this thing is cryptid, but I had to do some research to find out because I didn't know. And of course, it's not cryptid; it's a real thing, a spiky anteater.
Yeah.
So eventually, I had to type in, Echidna myth, and sure enough, you got some interesting stuff. Now, one of the things I want to talk about a little bit here, actually, is Typhon. Because there really wasn't. I was doing some research. I couldn't find much on him, and I actually just recently came across something that was kind of interesting, and it tells us a little bit more about who he is. And his actual name is Typhoeus, and for short, it's Typhon. And he's actually a monstrous, immortal storm giant who was defeated and imprisoned by Zeus in the pit of Tartaros. And he was the source of devastating storm winds, which issued forth from that dark nether realm. Now, later on, poets have described Typhon as being a volcanic demon of sorts trapped beneath the body of Mount Aetna in Sicily. And this is the guise in which it's mostly been identified with. And it has been considered so big of a creature that its head brushes the stars. And oddly, his appearance, similar to that of the Echidna, is of man, the upper body of a man, and two thighs or two legs, which are two coiled vipers instead of legs. So it's kind of weird that they have Echidna, which is half human and then half snake, and then you have Typhon, which is half human and then two snakes.
Yeah, I came across a picture that actually has him with two snakes as legs, and then two creatures that are side by side with him that kind of look like the harpies or a sphinx type creature. Yeah.
Well, and it goes on to, I'm going to just read a little bit of this, and it goes on to tell us more of what this Typhon looked like. And it says attached to his hands in place of fingers was 100 serpent heads, 50 per hand. He was winged with dirty matted hair and a beard, pointed ears, and eyes flashing like fire. According to some, he had 200 hands, each with 50 serpents for fingers, and 100 heads. One in human form, and the rest being heads of bulls, boars, serpents, lions, and leopards. And as a volcanic demon, as the poets had mentioned him, or described him as being, he would occasionally hurl red rocks at the sky, and storms of fire boiled from his mouth.
Huh.
That's what I call one hot-tempered husband for Echidna.
Well, according to legends, it seems like she could hold her own as well, so who knows?
Yeah, well, she wasn't the most loyal, I'm sure. She was a crafty serpent, after all.
Yeah. So, but apparently so was Typhon. So,
Yeah.
So yeah, one thing that comes up in the Greek mythology for Typhon, he was the son of Gaia, which was the earth, and that of Tartarus, which again was a god, but also known as what we would call hell in Greek mythology. And he, as Eric said, was a giant. He was also known as the most fearsome monster, I guess you could call him, in Greek mythology. Supposedly he was, I can't remember if it's a legend or if it was part of a movie. I think it was a legend, and then they made a movie of it, but he had actually come out of the sea and would take maidens as a sacrifice to leave whatever village it was alone. I can't remember exactly what town it was or what city it was, but kind of interesting to see the different mythologies behind him. And supposedly it all depends, again, maybe there was another Typhon that was actually a sea monster as well, but all the stuff that I'm seeing is that he was a giant, like you're saying. And again, it lists all of the different offspring that he had with Echidna. He, as you said, was imprisoned by Zeus, and he had actually had a battle with Zeus to rule the cosmos, or as most would know, the universe. And sadly, and again, this kind of sounds eerily familiar with Satan, who wants to take over for God.
Right.
And it's a little bit, I mean, obviously it's way different in Christianity compared to Greek mythology, but it's got a similar tone to it.
Right. It has this there's this battle, there's an enemy who wants to rise up against for Christianity, he wants to rise up against God. In regards to Greek mythology, rise up against what would be an equivalent of God, per se. As I guess an equivalent to the Christian God in a sense. Obviously, it's much different because he isn't considered this creator. I don't believe Zeus being considered a creator and all that, but
they had the pantheon that was a god.
Right.
There was a god for each thing that you could think of.
Exactly. So where God would be, the Christian Bible, is everything. He created everything, he moves everything, and so on and so forth. Zeus is considered the god of thunder, if I'm not mistaken,
and also king of the gods.
and king of the gods. He's the leader in the sense. And so you have this one evil god rising up against Zeus in this battle, happening, and then Zeus throwing this demon out and casting it into Hades, basically.
Yeah.
And then you see the same thing in the Christian Bible, where Satan rises up and he goes up into heaven to throw God from his throne, and God defeats him and throws him down into hell eventually. And so, there are similarities. You do see similarities, and we see a lot of similarities through a number of different religions around the world, though there are very, very, very big differences as well in regards to the Christian scriptures compared to everything else.
Yeah.
But
well, one thing that I actually kind of learned from Greek mythology, and this kind of had a forbearance of Christianity and Christ coming. In Greek mythology, Zeus was supposedly told by, I can't remember who it was, but that I don't remember if they said it was a son of Zeus or another god is what it was going to rule supreme. And they were talking about the forbearance of Christianity over Greek mythology and Roman mythology. And it's kind of, it was interesting in the fact that even then, paganism knew that it was coming to an end when Christianity was coming to the forefront of human consciousness. So and one thing that I don't even really know how to say it, because of the pantheon of gods, it almost seemed like humanity was looking for something to rule over each individual thing compared to one god who pretty much did everything.
Right. So when you look at humanity, I mean, regardless, humans, you see it all the time. They need something or somebody to rule over them.
Yeah.
Even atheists, for as much as they don't believe that, for as much as they believe that they don't believe in something, or that they don't have a faith in something, they have the faith that God doesn't exist. And that in and of itself is the thing that they worship. The fact that they believe that there's nothing. And it takes a whole lot more to believe in nothing than it does to believe in something, especially in regards to a creator God. Mm-hmm. And there's a number of other things that, just people in general will worship on a daily basis, whether it be TV or cigarettes or alcohol or this or that, you name it. And one of the big things throughout all history is people trying to find a God of some sort that they can praise. But why is that? Thinking theologically and really opening our minds here, you just got to question, why is that? Unless God, of course, I've heard my pastor say this, I've heard numerous songs say this, that there's a God-shaped hole in all of us. And it's that part of us that longs for someone who is higher than us to watch over us, to guide us, to guard us, to lead us, and for us to ultimately put our faith in and trust. And why does every single person have that empty hole, that feeling, unless it's real,
Yeah. Well, everybody is looking for something, like you're saying, whether you believe in Christianity's God or a God, you're definitely looking for something to explain what, we're going through and what we believe now. So it's kind of an interesting thing to look into theology in general.
Yeah. Right. All right, folks, you are listening to Paratruth Radio. We will be right back, but take a moment and listen to Justin's Paranormal Headlines.
And now, Paratruth Radio's Paranormal Headlines.
Hey, Parafans. Justin here with your Paranormal Headlines. These headlines are from unexplainedmysteries.com. Giant crab photographed by Mars rover. A new image of a rocky outcrop on the surface of Mars shows what looks like a large crab-like creature. We've seen a lot of strange and unusual items on the surface of Mars over the years, including everything from a set of traffic lights to a perfect reproduction of President Barack Obama's head. The explanation behind these peculiar sightings is a phenomenon known as pareidolia, the tendency for the human brain to see meaningful shapes in otherwise abstract patterns. The most recent example is a photograph taken by the Curiosity rover of a rocky outcrop on the surface of Mars, which appears to show a peculiar multi-legged creature hiding in a crevice. As far as anomalies go, this one is at least quite convincing and actually does look like a big crab. Seth Shostak, the man in charge of SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, is quite frequently bombarded with images like this one from eagle-eyed anomaly hunters. It's unusual, some sort of animal, but occasionally even weirder objects such as automobile parts, he said. Maybe they think there are cars on Mars. Recognizing a crab in a landscape filled with wind-weathered rocks is no more surprising, nor more significant, than seeing a winking face in a semicolon followed by a parentheses. Marana police pick up unidentified voice. The Marana Police Department in Arizona has released an audio clip which features an unexpected extra. The clip, which was posted up on the department's Facebook page, contains an exchange between officers as well as an unidentified voice at the 19-second mark that nobody has been able to explain. Listen to the unusual anomaly that was recorded during this recent MPD radio transmission, the upload caption states. Could it be a ghost? What do you hear it say? Some people think it says, "Stop talking to me." Our radio technician listened to it and could offer no explanation. He said it was not interference or the picking up of another frequency. And this has been Justin with your Paranormal Headlines.
This was a segment of Paratruth Radio's Paranormal Headlines.
Welcome back to Paratruth Radio. My name is Eric.
And I'm Justin.
And we are speaking about the Echidna. Before break, we were talking a number of different things. And one in particular was the similarities between Greek mythology and the Christian faith. And about how people tend to always seem to look for something to put their faith in or something to worship, whether it be a god of some sort, or whether it be alcohol or cigarettes or, you name it, television. There's so many things out there that people just become addicted to. And it is, unfortunately, very sad when they become addicted to things that really offer no significant value to their life whatsoever, such as alcohol, as a big one. And I know, I think Justin would agree with me on that.
Yeah, when people even lose their faith, they turn to something else to drown out, I don't know if you would call it their sorrow or just to drown everything out. So in a sense, they're turning that into what they worship. Right.
And, it's sad because I think it's actually so easy. It really is very easy to turn to the one God who will truly save you from yourself and will save you from the penalty of sin and from death and ultimately give you the joy that you've been longing for your entire life. And that's to turn and believe with your whole heart and proclaim with your mouth that Jesus Christ has died and risen. And that's something that's very, very easy to do, and yet one of the most difficult things to do, period. And I know it was difficult for me for a long time and difficult for Justin for a long time.
Yeah.
Because who really wants to submit their entire life to the Lord into Jesus Christ, knowing that he has full reign, full rule and supreme over you, and that you have to obey his word. And that's tough. That really is tough. But the truth is that once you do it, God puts the Holy Spirit in you, and he starts to change you. A lot of people out there believe that in order to get to heaven, you can accomplish it through works by doing good things. But it's not by works that you're saved. It's by grace, and it is by faith, by grace through faith. And it is the people who become saved through their faith in Christ that good works suddenly begin to happen, because naturally, by choosing to believe in God and follow him, he puts it on your heart to start doing good things. But unfortunately, I think a lot of people are just misled. And that goes not only just through like what we learn on television and through mainstream media, but even what we learn through other religions, and other beliefs. That, in fact, there is no other religion in the history of the world that has ever said all you have to do is believe that a God died and rose again for your salvation and your life. Christianity is the only one. The Christian faith. Jesus Christ is the only one who says, believe in me and you will be saved. There is nothing else you have to do. There is no works. There is no, little going out and doing this over here, going out and doing that over there. There's no drinking this or eating that, or, you name it. It's just simply believing and you can be saved. But in regards to the whole Christian faith and the Greek mythology, I think there are very strong similarities between a lot of the stories.
Yeah, a lot of the Bible stories that you hear are kind of, it depends on the story, I guess. But yeah, for a couple of them, it can kind of relate to each religion.
Absolutely. And so we are left here with the Echidna, an interesting creature, half woman, half snake, and her husband, which is very oddly similar,
right?
Which is kind of creepy. And we're just gonna leave it at that.
Well,
I don't want to.
It's kind of weird because sometimes you hear opposites attract, or sometimes you'll hear like begets like. So which is it? Is it opposites attract, or is it like and like come together? It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But
well, it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, so the Echidna, a very interesting creature known as the mother of monsters, apparently gave birth to numerous other creatures that are more famous than even herself, such as the Cerberus, the Chimera, the Hydra, the Sphinx, and a number of others. I mean, it's amazing how something like the Echidna, which is so, I guess, low-key in Greek myth, it's not as popular as some of these other mythologies, and yet the ones that she gave birth to, or supposedly gave birth to, according to the myth, are the ones that take up all of this fame, if you will. Because I know Cerberus has been seen in numerous stories, numerous movies, numerous television shows.
Yeah.
One of the big ones even is Harry Potter.
Yep.
Cerberus was, even shown in Harry Potter.
Even though its name wasn't Cerberus, but everybody knew what it was.
Right, exactly. And even like there's a cartoon called Hercules, the Hercules cartoon, that had Cerberus. Of course, the Hercules movies and television shows. And so yeah, definitely interesting stuff tonight. It definitely opens my mind to what people throughout history have believed and the stories that they've come up with, and not necessarily believed, just some of it just simply artistic writing, It's a story that's been passed down from generation to generation.
And eventually became legend.
Exactly. And, I think a lot of people like to dismiss these myths and these legends and just forget about them. But I do think that they are a very rich history, something that all people, whether Christian or non-Christian, should take a look at and understand, because it allows you to better understand people from other nations and understand what kind of history that they've had to deal with growing up, or that they have to look back upon, like, oh, their ancestors believed in this, this, and this. It just gives you a better understanding of the world as a whole, to what we all come from and where it all began. I just think it's very interesting stuff. I actually liked this particular topic. It was one that I wasn't quite sure about. It was one that I never even heard of. I never heard of the Echidna. So I think that's one of the big reasons we had done this.
Well, and it is interesting to go into Greek mythology because of it. It brings up so many different questions and different things on theology that you wouldn't really think about until you did the research. Yeah, Echidna was definitely an interesting creature, and again, it's not necessarily going into paranormal, but it kind of goes along the lines of theology and even just doing research on different topics. So one of the things that we've got going here is Eric actually has a new update for the Revealed. It is getting close to crunch time for him, so I wanted to give him the chance to give that new update.
Yeah. So first and foremost, this past weekend, I held a fundraiser in Parma Heights, Ohio, for the Revealed. We had around 40 people or so show up. We raised $950. So that's absolutely awesome, and I want to thank everyone out there who had showed up and participated in that fundraiser. We gave away some awesome prizes. There was free food, free drinks for people who like to drink, or even the occasional drinker. So, it was a good time. We had a lot of fun. There were a lot of people. I spent, probably like 6 hours there. We were there from about 6 o'clock to 1 a.m. And I think that's just huge. That's a big deal. We made a lot of money, and it's just fabulous. On another note, I do have a new campaign up and running. For those of you who know, I did have a GoFundMe running for a while. I did put that to the side. I ended up switching platforms to Indiegogo, mostly because it's a stronger format. It's a better platform. People tend to use it more. They tend to look at it more. And it really allowed me to express the film more. It gives you more of an idea of what the film is, as well as what I'm looking for and what you can expect by donating to the film. And for those of you who are wondering still, if you want to know more about the movie, it is about a young woman named Abigail Franklin who's forced to rethink everything she's ever believed when a group of mysterious beings begin to visit her in the middle of the night. It's a story that has been on my heart for several years now. I've written multiple drafts of this film. It was originally meant to be a feature-length film, approximately 90 minutes long, and I cut it down all the way to 11 pages. I decided to make it a short film because I thought it just expressed the truth and the story that I wanted to share in a better way. And so this is a story that, again, I've been working on for a long time. It is close to my heart, and it is a story of faith, trust, and acceptance. And if you want to know more and you're looking to know more, please check out facebook.com/The Revealed Movie. Also, you can go to paratruthradio.com and click on the Creative Works tab. There you will see a full synopsis of The Revealed and what it's about. Also, at the bottom of that page, you will see a link to the Indiegogo page, where, again, you can learn even more. There's also a small video on the Indiegogo page that you can watch. It's a video of me just talking a little bit about The Revealed and also letting you know where all funds, all donations go to. Because other than the 5% or so that Indiegogo takes from the final donation total, the other 95% will fully go towards the movie itself. It will not be used for any selfish or personal reasons whatsoever. It'll all go towards the movie, so you know that any penny that you donate will be helping out the film itself. It's a way for you to get involved, a way for you to help out in the creative aspect of the film. I am looking for creative ideas, so if you are willing to put in the money, you will have the opportunity. Of course, there are a number of different perks available to you. I think it starts at around $5. You could put in less. You could put in $1 if you want, but I have the perks starting at $5. And I think at $5, you get a personal shout out on the Revealed social media. And then from there, we upgrade to like, I think it's like we bump it to $25 or $10, then $25 and $50, $75, $125, and eventually to $250, I believe.
Actually, it's $100, not $100.
Is it $100? Okay, so $100, and then jumps all the way to $250. And you can get anything from, again, the shout out on the Revealed social media to a signed copy of the DVD when it's released, a signed copy of the original script, which is signed by the entire cast and crew, even getting a credit, your name credited as an executive producer of the film. And this is an executive producer credit that very well may end up on IMDb. I am shooting for that. Of course, I can't get anything on IMDb until the film is complete, so you can look forward to that. And so if you want to check it out, you can go on to paratruths.com, click on the Creative Works tab and check out the link at the bottom. Otherwise, you could go to igg.me/@/the revealed movie. Again, that is igg.me/AT/THEREVALEDMOVIE. So any support would be wonderful, whether it's a donation, whether it's just you sharing it with friends and family, whether it's just you keeping it in your prayers. Me, my cast, my crew, the film itself, just keeping it in your prayers that it goes well, and that we really get the most out of our money and also the most out of our creativity to really make this as great as it, I think, potentially could be. But we definitely need your help. So yeah, that's my update, and I just hope everyone is willing to help out and join us in this endeavor.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. As Eric said, it's been something that's been weighing on him for a long time to get done, and I encourage everybody that listens to Paratruth Radio, at least keep Eric in your thoughts and prayers, if not going to the Indiegogo campaign and submitting even $1. $1 would definitely give him some leeway to his budget that he needs to get to do the movie. So, and we are actually probably going to be doing a show within the next couple weeks here, specifically attributed to the Revealed movie. And it'll basically be me interviewing Eric about the movie, about what he's looking forward to, all that great stuff. I do believe he is also going to be on Deception Detection Radio as well, being interviewed about the movie. And actually, both him and I are going to be on Deception Detection Radio as well on August 29th, talking about ghost towns. Definitely was an interesting show to do, because most people don't know a whole lot about ghost towns other than they're called ghost towns, and it just sounds creepy. So definitely look forward to that. Also, if you guys missed it, we were on Talk Supernatural Friday night. Go back and listen to Talk Supernatural after our show here, and go check that out. I do support Deception Detection Radio, as well as Talk Supernatural, Tie Girl for God Radio, which is one of our friend Jerry's show that she's kind of done by herself a little bit. All three of those guys are amazing shows and amazing people, so definitely check them out. And we've got a couple of great things coming up as well. William Hall, or as we call him, Bill Hall, is coming back to Paratruth Radio to talk about his new book, The Haunted House Diaries, the true story of a quiet Connecticut town in the center of a paranormal mystery. And it has to do with ghosts, aliens, holes in time and space. Kind of weird how they all kind of coincide in certain areas. So definitely look forward to that. Coming up real fast here, Paratruth will be at Scarefest. That is September 11th through the 13th. If you guys are looking forward to going, I would love to hear from you guys. We will have Paratruth Radio t-shirts on. If you don't recognize the face, you'll at least see those and know who we are. And we will be broadcasting live on September 11th, Friday, September 11th, and you guys can find out where we're at each spot that we stop, and definitely come in and say hello.
Definitely.
And so that is all that we've got for you guys this week, I think. Also, too, if you guys also, other than donating to The Revealed, we actually have a donation tab up on our Paratruth Radio website, paratruthradio.com. If you click on the contact page and you click on the donation tab, you can donate to Paratruth Radio as well as The Revealed. And it's just, as I said in our Facebook, it costs money to do what we do. And if you guys feel it in your hearts to donate, we greatly appreciate anything that is given to us, whether it's for The Revealed or for the show. I definitely encourage you guys to donate to The Revealed first, obviously, because Eric needs his budget met, and I want to see this darn movie. So definitely donate to The Revealed. If you feel it in your heart to donate to Paratruth Radio as well, I definitely think that we would both graciously appreciate it, but The Revealed is the major part right now. So that is everything for you guys tonight on Echidna and Typhon and all the great updates coming to Paratruth Radio. If you guys have any questions, concerns, comments, always feel free to email us at paratruthradio@gmail.com or get on our website. You can contact us on the contact page or in the comments or in our chat box. And you can also go to Facebook and Twitter and find us there as well.
Indeed. I think that's pretty much everything.
All right, folks. We will talk to you guys next week. My name's Justin.
And I'm Eric.
And we will see you next same time, same channel.
Peace. If you enjoyed this episode of Paratruth Radio and you would like to listen to it again, or are interested in listening to any of our past episodes, then you can listen to them on HD at our website, paratruthradio.com.
And you can also find us at Stitcher, Blueberry, TuneIn, iTunes, Spreaker, and YouTube.
And of course, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter for brand new updates of our show every day.